Well, thanks for staying with us. We're still giving you a wall-to-wall coverage of everything you need to know from around the country and beyond as well. The party primaries Jubilee that is concluded yesterday. The results are still trickling in. In fact, on your screen right now, we're expecting the first press briefing from the Jubilee headquarters. That coming up in a bit. As soon as it comes up, we will take you there live. Also, we are following the NASA big announcement. We're still waiting for the flag bearer to be unveiled. Several people already arrived there. They're waiting for a 1 million man congregation, but those numbers are there, and Vicky says the numbers are still continuing to grow. We're still taking you there in just a bit as well, but for now
we are crossing over to Murang'a County. Of course, as we mentioned earlier, the Jubilee primary results are still trickling in there, and our reporter Kennedy Murithi has the latest.
Now, Gladys, just as you've said, we are still here at the Murang'a Teachers College, where we are waiting for results from the 7 constituencies to be brought at this particular tallying center. Now, but I can confirm to you, but the situation is not as it was when we spoke earlier. At least there are some people who are behind me, and this room is almost now getting full. The first person to get to this point, to this particular tallying center, or where the results are going to be announced, was the governor of Murang'a, Mwangi wa Iria, who has come with a big delegation. Now he himself already knows that he is ahead of the others, but I can also confirm to you, earlier on we had shown you pictures of what were taken to the Marago police station as ballot papers that had been marked for Jamlek. Yesterday in the afternoon we spoke to Jamlek Kamau, who said there was such a scheme for people to take ballot papers, tick his name and blame it on him. And this is a matter that the police have said they are investigating. But as of now, I'm joined by the county returning officer for this Murang'a County, and I want him to tell us where are we at this particular time.
Okay, Jeff. Now we are waiting for the results now, which are now on the way. I know Kandara is on the way. Madhioya, Kagema, all of them, they are on the way coming here to bring the results to the county returning officer. Yeah.
So what time do we expect that you'll be making these announcements?
We will be making the final announcement before 5 today. Because the big stations like Ratanga already concluded, Kiharu is on the final stages. So by 5 in the evening, we should be through.
But earlier when we spoke to you, you told us that you had not gotten the complaint about some ballot papers that had been found in Maragua. Have you gotten the complaint, and what are you doing about it?
I'm here to get that complaint. I'm here to get it. Yeah.
So you have not gotten it at all?
I've not. I'm just hearing it over the media.
Kennedy Murithi speaking to us from Murang'a County. We'll be going back to him as and when those results start being announced officially by the returning officer at the Murang'a Teachers College. For now, back in Nairobi at the Uhuru Park, to be specific, where the NASA flag bearer announcement is expected, and we have Victoria Rubadiri waiting to give us the latest from there.
The crowd, since I spoke to you, Gladys and Trevor, has grown, including the noise level. As you can hear, we have to really raise our voices so that you can actually hear us. But also joining me now is my colleague, Larry Mado. Been following the proceedings up until this point. We're still waiting for the 5 NASA principals, Larry. The anticipation you can literally feel right now.
People are very excited, Vicky, and I came in from the Kenyatta Avenue way, and walking through the crowd, people are pumped up. In fact, I remember a fellow reporter saying, wow, these guys come in and they're psyched and they're ready every time, and some of them have been here for a couple of hours now.
Indeed, we'd spoken to some who had been here as early as 5 in the morning to ensure that they got a good vantage point. As you can see, the crowd has actually come much closer to the dais, but it has been really, really ridiculous trying to control the crowd and, of course, get them to see what's happening. They're waiting for the 5 principals who are still on their way. Of course, waiting for an all-important announcement of who the flag bearer will be. We've been speaking to various party members in the constituent parties in NASA, many of them keeping one message, saying that they don't really care about what position the party leader gets. Right. It's all about governance and kicking out the Jubilee government.
And one of the things that is interesting, if you're inside the crowd, you will see different groups supporting different aspirants. you'll see a group supporting Kidero, there's a group supporting Elizabeth Ngoro, there's a different group of people who are here for Steve Mbogo, who's running in Starehe, and all of them are trying to outdo each other, to outshout each other, and to show they have the most energy. I wonder if it is a hashtag rent a crowd, or the people who just genuinely believe in the candidate that's supporting here.
That is a good question, because I was speaking to one of the attendees and he told me, I actually attend every single rally. He's been to Mombasa, different parts of the country,
Oh, wow.
just to attend and ensure that he's present. So some, I guess you
That
could
is
call them
commitment.
career rally attenders.
That is serious commitment, though, because when you think about it, in the last few months, there's been several NASA rallies in Mombasa, Tononoka, there's the one in Bomet, there's one at Kibra, there's all over the place, and this person shows up at all of them.
Right, right. And of course we know why they're all here, because they want to know who is going to be the individual leading the charge for NASA coming in the August 8th election. We have a few aspirants who will be joining us a bit later. Steve Mbogo and Babu Owino, of course, they're well known to our audience and what they're vying for. And I was speaking to some youth leaders, some were also vying for various posts, and they told me the youth really are pinned on having Raila as the flag bearer.
So a lot of the people in the crowd, because I've had to literally snake my way past the crowd and get my feet stepped on and get a sense of it, and a lot of them are big Raila supporters. A lot of them are big Raila supporters, and what happens is if you look into the crowd, you see more orange than any other color. Orange, of course, being the color of ODM. So I think it's fair to say, overwhelmingly those who are here, out here today, are more in the Raila camp than any of the four other principals. And keep in mind that since Governor Ruto joined in, he's also an equal principal. He could potentially also be a candidate.
Indeed he is, and I put that question to some of the party members of the constituent parties and asked them, does this further complicate the power sharing deal that they're putting together, because now there's a fifth principle to put into account in terms of what position he would get. Many of them said, no, it's not about positions, it's about taking over from the Jubilee government.
All right, shall we bring out our guests?
Absolutely.
They're right behind you.
Let's welcome our guests. Steve Mbogo, how are you? And Babu Owino, thank you for joining us.
How are you doing? Wow, what a good, why are you here today?
The long awaited day has come today. And this is the D-Day, the day the people of Kenya were waiting for. It will good to name our flag bearer today, our deputy and the whole team. And what you're saying, come August 8th, it's nothing else than NASA. We're taking over the government because the Kenyans are tired. We're tired of being segregated. And we've seen many Kenyans complaining, and the time is now. What I promise Kenyans is we as NASA, we are ready to go. We won't relent. We're coming with a ruthless focus. It's now or never.
Steve Mbogo is running in Starehe, but we've also got Mr. Babu Owino, Vicky.
Absolutely.
Vicky has a question for
So
you.
what are your expectations for the rally, for the flag bearer who's going to be actually announced today? What are your expectations?
Rubadiri, I think this is so obvious. Raila is going to be announced as the flag bearer, and he's the person who has the political goodwill and he has the political capital. People support him. He's the person who can at least defeat the Jubilee government, and he's the person who's got the zeal, zest, vigor, and the temerity to remove the Jubilee government from power. Yes.
So who do you believe, you deal a lot with the youth, who do you believe is the person that they want to come in as the flag bearer?
Of course, it is Raila Amolo Odinga. It is not what we believe, it is what we know. We know that Raila Odinga has the move, he has the strength, he has the political capital and the political goodwill to be the flag bearer, to be the next president of this nation. Yes.
Okay, let's listen in from Steve Mbogo and Larry.
Right. You know, the interesting thing is the ODM nominations for Nairobi are on Sunday. Do you expect to win?
Yeah, of course, for me, I don't believe in losing. I've never lost anything.
That's what Governor Kabogo said, and then 2 days later he lost.
Yeah, but you see, for Kabogo, it's a different thing. For Steve Mbogo, it's always a win, and it's always a win, because we mean good for the people, and we're there for the people, to the people, with the people.
The reason why I asked that is because if you win, you are likely going to face Jaguar, who's just won the Jubilee ticket. Can you beat Jaguar?
That is a piece of cake for me. What I guarantee the people of Starehe, it's Steve Mbogo and nothing but Steve Mbogo. Steve Mbogo is the only person with a manifesto that will elevate the lives of the people of Starehe.
Why are you running in Starehe?
Basically, being a businessman, and Starehe is a business-oriented constituency. I believe with my business expertise, I have the capacity to elevate the people and the lives of people in Starehe.
What is the nature of your business exactly, Steve?
I'm in commodity trading, real estate, and also finance.
What commodities?
From a line from metals to petroleum, and also fast-moving consumer goods, the FMCGs.
Before Vicky gets back to Babu, why should the people of Starehe elect you?
Under Steve Mbogo Foundation, there are a lot of programs I've done for the people of Starehe. I started the biggest empowerment program in Kenya through my program called Boiler Room, which airs in Ebru TV every Saturday, where I finance business ideas because I realized people have the capacity, they have the ability to bring up very good business ideas, but they lack finances. But it's not only about finances, but we offer the expertise and proper management for the businesses.
All the best in Starehe, Steve. All right, Vicky.
And Babu Owino, of course, you are running as well. What do you expect to bring? You have quite a following from University of Nairobi. What do you expect to bring in your seat?
What I'm expecting to?
What do you expect to bring in your campaign?
To bring in for my people. Personally, as Babu Owino, I'll treat the youth, the women, and the old age with utmost respect. The youth need employment. I'll act as a bridge between their dirty past and their golden tomorrow in the foreseeable future. With the women, I'm planning to form a circle for women where they'll be getting loans. Those who are not in business will be given loans to do business, given a period to refund the money. The youth will start for them the vocational training institutions, whereby those youth can get skills to be self-employed, to work in carpentry, welding, furniture, tailoring, and other skills that will nurture their activities. There are also people with talents that will love to nurture their talents. That is just in a nutshell. In my constituency, there are areas like Miango, Utawala, parts of Lower Savannah, and Embakasi Ward, where there's shortage of water, there's salty water. So I'll work on piping, bringing piped water, which is fresh water, so that our people can be well served. There's the issue of hospital, which is lacking majorly in, partly in Lower Savannah. There's a community clinic, but it's quite expensive for the people. So we'll work on that. In Upper Savannah, there's an issue of also hospital that is lacking. Public schools are majorly lacking in Abakasi East.
So clearly there's a lot that you have to do, but why now? Why do you feel you are the best man for this position?
Of course, I'm the best candidate for that because I have the political experience. I've been a leader at the university, and I've interacted with other leaders, and I have the leadership skills that can make my people move from one place to a better place.
And lastly, what will this mean in terms of announcing the flag bearer for NASA moving forward for the coalition? What more do they need to do?
I think there was still a lot of negotiations which are going on. Of course, every candidate was feeling that they are the best. But I think the best among the rest, or the best among the best, will be chosen. And I believe that that best is Raila Amolo Odinga. Yes.
Thank you so much. All the best. Enjoy the festivities. Thank you.
All right. All right, what was happening there is that I think that was Boni Kalwale was just coming in, and there's a bit of excitement. They're trying to get him to come onto the stage.
And of course, they are the preliminary individuals coming before the principals actually make their way. Raila Odinga, Kalonzo Musyoka, Moses Wetangula, of course Musalia Mudavadi, and the newly inducted Isaac Ruto. And the question is whether his induction is going to complicate this power-sharing deal. We're waiting to hear whether they'll announce beyond the flag bearer running mate and what they're calling the premier cabinet secretaries, who will be individuals that will have quite a bit of power in the NASA government. So we're waiting to hear all of those positions, who gets what, and what the structure is going to look like.
They had promised to have about 1 million people here, and the numbers have been building since you were here a couple of hours ago. It still doesn't look like 1 million, but I think it's heading in that direction now. Okay, I don't know how to estimate crowd numbers, but I don't think...
You're asking the wrong person.
It looks like a lot of people, but not anywhere, nowhere near 1 million. We expect that the principals should be here in maybe another hour or so, and then the official program will begin.
Absolutely, but there's been concern in terms of the delay, how long it has taken to announce the flag bearer. Of course, we know they've been meeting for the last 2 days to tie up loose ends and to put together this structure that's very important in terms of knowing who will get what in terms of position. So Larry, we're waiting to see, like everyone else here who's waiting, who will get that position of flag bearer.
Yes, and it's been a very difficult decision for them because a lot of the reporting has said the principals almost agreed and then somebody disagreed. And then they spent another night or another day at a retreat and then they disagreed. The last time we had this, Moses Wetangula said we have made good progress. Last week when they called this meeting, they said we have made good progress, but not exactly sure who that final one is. A lot of people, a lot of analysts, the reporting today says it is likely to be a Raila Kalonzo ticket, just like last time, but we don't know for sure. We'll have to wait and see.
And of course, the fear is that was the ticket from last time. The viability of such a ticket, maybe they can change things up and have a different number 1 and number 2 come in on the NASA ticket. But that, of course, is for us to see. They expect this to kick off officially at 2 p.m. and then we'll be able to see what is what in terms of the NASA coalition.
It's very interesting who you see around here. For instance, Chirauli Mokwere, ambassador, who is in Wiper, is running in somewhere in the coast, and there's very interesting kind of cross-section of politicians. What this brings together not just ODM or Wiper politicians, but also those from Ford Kenya, those from Amani National Congress. I saw an Elizabeth Ongoro crowd earlier, all of them. Do you think I can grab Ambassador Chirauli Mokwere? Okay, he's gone. That would have been nice. Okay, Vicky, take this. I'm just going to go and grab him real quick.
You go ahead.
Sounds good?
Absolutely.
Right.
And of course, the concern has been with all of these constituent parties, what does this mean in terms of unity for the NASA coalition? Of course, we've seen the principals do it very well so far, but what does it mean for the electorate and the constituents who will be voting them in on August 8th? I'll hand you back over to studio as we speak to more.
Victoria Rubadiri and Larry Madoa speaking to us from the Uhuru Park, where there's a mammoth crowd awaiting that announcement of the flag bearer, NASA flag bearer, going into the elections in August. And of course, still expecting the principals, the 5 principals, to come in. And maybe in an hour or so, we shall be going back and finding out how that goes. But before we get to that, I've got to come back to our panel. And Simehe, that picture, very familiar. 2002, 2007, 2013. Should the electorate be careful in case the coalition becomes a case of same script, different cast?
Well, yes, but again, the circumstances are not the same. It may look like a reincarnation of what we've seen before, but the circumstances, what makes these people come together now, what made I think like the NAC in 2002 come together, the form in which they came together, you'll find that the circumstances are not the same. If you look on the surface, it may look the same, but they are not the same. In many instances, like in the current one, they have been forced because they do not have a choice. What is similar to previous ones, now just on the side of the leaders before I talk about the electorate, what is similar with between 2002 and just now is the fact that those who are in power sort of locked out those who were angling for succession, succeed them. Literally, Moi locked out the others, chose Uhuru and locked out all the others. It forced those who were in Kanu, Raila, Musalia, well, Musalia went back, Raila, Kalonzo, and so on, Saitoti, and so on, to run to the opposition. Now, in the current case, it's not like they have been all in government and now they are angling to succeed Uhuru Kenyatta. This has been the opposition for the last 4.5 years. They do not have a choice. They do not have a choice but to stick together if they are to have any chance at removing Uhuru Kenyatta and William Ruto from power. With regards to the electorate, it again will depend on how the leaders sell, because what we see in terms of crowds is not necessarily a picture that will translate into votes, not necessarily. It may be an indicator of popularity, it may be an indicator of frustration, people frustrated with the situation, it may be an indicator of disappointment with the current government, anticipation, expectation, and so on. But it does not necessarily translate into votes. And the leaders of NASA will have to do a lot more in terms of selling the agenda they have. I have had very many commentaries, and they've been right, to say that all they hear NASA leaders saying is, we want to remove Uhuru and Ruto. Then, what do you want to offer? To be fair to Raila Odinga, over some time beginning last year, he did point out some weaknesses that if he were president, he would correct. He did point out like the scandals and whatnot, and imply that, okay, if we are in power, this kind of things won't happen, we would change. But I think it has to be more than that. It has to be, what promise do you give the people? They have to give a real promise that people can look up to, and then finally excite their voting basis. There's something, the support basis and beyond. There's something, again, I said on this set like a couple of days ago. The first time when I saw the failed Jubilee nominations, what really for me amazed me was the crowds. Even if they were just mobilized, that was really successful mobilization. I did not see the same thing in ODM nominations, ANC nominations. I hardly ever saw Ford Kenya nominations, but at least, and Wiper nominations, I did not see the same thing. If I was one of these NASA leaders, I would worry, I would not take this for granted. I would look at those crowds that came out from Jubilee strongholds, and I would worry. And I would have to go back to the drawing board. How do I make sure that I bring out my supporters? Very finally, just one thing on Isaac Ruto. Prof said earlier, not Isaac, yeah, Isaac Ruto. Prof said earlier that he's not of any value, that he's just there to be called a principal. On that one, I beg to differ. I think he has quite some political value. In terms of the image of NASA, what they're trying to put together as a national movement, so that there is some value there. But also, in terms of numbers, this man wouldn't be governor if he wasn't popular, but his election did not just depend on Jubilee, and he proved that when he put up a candidate in a by-election, an MCA by-election, he put up a Chama cha Mashinani candidate, and he beat a Jubilee candidate whom the deputy president went to campaign, the entire Jubilee machinery went to campaign for. And Isaac Ruto beat them. So when I look at the way his defiance, the way his people in the Rift Valley have received him, I also see beyond the image, beyond the perception, I actually see some real numbers that there's quite a bit of disaffection that he can nurture and bring those on board as numbers for NASA.
Okay, Professor Macharia, speaking of which, one of the aspirants that was speaking to Victoria alluded to the fact that the formula doesn't really matter here. All they want is that the NASA coalition to go in and get rid of the current regime. But in your opinion, does a formula matter for the coalition going forward?
No, it does not matter.
Why?
Because we have a structure, a constitutional structure. So yes, they are playing good politics. Let's put it that way. Whoever is elected president and deputy president, that's what counts. The others are games. So yes, they are talking about somebody they will call what, a premier CS, which is a euphemism for chief minister, which is a euphemism for prime minister, all of which do not exist. So for someone to believe that he's going to be that, either being hoodwinked, because the power still remains with the what? With the president and the deputy in this case, because the president cannot fire a deputy. They're stuck together because they're constitutionally. So to go there in a naive way is kind of self-deception. So the main thing is, if it can galvanize some people to support whoever the presidential candidate is, because that's the game, and he gets into that office, what he does with it, as per constitution, is another matter. And we have seen before in different parts of the world. Give you a few examples. In Congo, they even had a constitutional structure. Somebody will be called a president, and another one will be called a prime minister. They are virtually sharing power. And what happened as soon as they got independence? The prime minister and the president started firing each other. In Zimbabwe, down here, same scenario. Before too long, the president was kicked out, and the prime minister became president, and he's still there. Now, in Uganda, our neighbor here, they had a similar structure. Yeah? The Kabaka and Milton Obote. In theory, Milton Obote, the executive prime minister, the Kabaka, the president. After a short time, the prime minister kicked out the president, and he became executive president himself. That's Obote. And some people try to emulate Obote. You know that they borrow a lot from Obote. So this formula is good if it can mobilize people for somebody to become president. What happens after that is not stuck. It is not in granite.
Okay.
So it just remains on the forcefulness of the president and his goodwill and what he wants to do with that office once he's given.
Okay, speaking of formulas, there's a certain formula that has been floated.
Absolutely, and in fact, Patrick here on Twitter says a Mudavadi Kalonzo team is the best possible combination, just like in football team, Raila acheze role ya playmaker. But also, on this document that we have, it's an allegedly leaked document from the technical team. One of the most glaring findings from them is that a Mudavadi backed by Raila to reduce depression of turnout in NASA, and that means that Kalonzo would have to be the running mate. So it's Musalia and Kalonzo, but Raila becomes the person who makes the kingmaker. But before we talk about that, let's cross over to the Jubilee headquarters where we're getting the first address from the turnouts of the nominations that happened there. Let's listen in.
Substantially pretty much moved on to the phase of completing tallying, completing auditing of the returns filed by our various presiding officers, completing the consolidation of all these results and getting communication out to members of the public. Now, as this exercise is ongoing, I have to remind all our aspirants that in as much as results are coming out and in as much as the exercise is being substantially completed, we wish to remind all our aspirants that the party code of conduct has not been suspended or lifted in any way. It's still fully applicable. And we are reminding them, as well as our dear voters, to kindly maintain decorum as this exercise is going on. We've seen a number of our victors demonstrating magnanimity in victory, and a number of the unsuccessful candidates largely showing dignity also in the outcome, and this enhances the entire democratic process. So we are particularly concerned that we must maintain the same level of security and good conduct that we demonstrated during the actual voting process, and it is imperative that we do not give the security services work after the voting has been completed, because they will apply the law as much before as after the voting process. So since this exercise is taking time, we're doing it very meticulously. We're calling also for patience from aspirants and their supporters as they support our returning officers in the exercise of generating the results that we're all so keenly waiting for. I would also like to repeat that the certificates are not being issued by our returning officers. As I indicated yesterday, and it's now available on our website, the process of issuing Jubilee Party nomination certificates is being undertaken directly from our headquarters. So let me repeat, for the avoidance of aspirants harassing returning officers at county level or constituency level, please do not press them to issue your certificates. Please do not be suspicious that a certificate will disappear. Every Jubilee Party nomination certificate will be issued from Jubilee House and no other place. Should you be presented with any certificate from any other place other than this building, rest assured that is a River Road certificate and it will not be accepted at the IEBC. So kindly do comply and come follow the instructions on the website, and they'll be issued as appropriate. The only exception to this general rule is for members of the county assembly, which, as I stated, will be ready on the 3rd of May at the respective county headquarters, and these will be issued through our county elections boards. You'll appreciate this exercise covers 47 counties, covers close to 1,000 and something positions. So each certificate in its original form will be signed by the chairman of the party and the Secretary General, and it is considered a security document. They'll be properly serialized, and therefore, anybody purporting to generate such a document which does not bear the seal of the party and the signatures accordingly will be purely a waste of time, and they'll appear on our register. So kindly be patient and let's not get nervous about certificates issued in unsavory locations. Thank you. Now, in as far as the nominations that are ongoing, I'm aware that Machakos MCA nominations are ongoing and Mandera East is still scheduled for Saturday. We'll continue to update you on any further developments. Njoro, as you're aware, the 19 wards are voting and they did start at 7 a.m. today. So even though tallying is going on in Nakuru County, we're allowing the voters of Njoro to exercise their democratic rights. And as soon as they do so, their votes will be added to the tally and compiled appropriately to reflect the true will of the entire Nakuru County. And the same goes for other counties where it's going on. I also wish to report that the National Appeals Tribunal is already active. They had their first set of meetings this morning. In fact, I believe some meetings are still going on. You'll appreciate that the documents of appeal, even as they arrive, let's say they arrive today, before you sit to determine an appeal, the successful party will also have to be notified that there is an appeal, and they convene then for the proper sittings. So these processes are already ongoing, and you'll receive updates from Faith Waigwa, who is the chair of the National Appeals Tribunal. So any candidates out there who may feel dissatisfied with the outcome, I wish to repeat, please avail yourself immediately of the appellate mechanism. And I say immediately because you have 3 days from the announcement of the results to lodge your appeal. Anything arriving outside that timeline will, of course, be time barred. Right, now I wish to, as promised, make some formal announcements on the outcomes of certain contests within the party. The first of these is Kirinyaga County, and for the position of governor, I'll just announce the top 2 or 3. In third place, Joseph Kaduri Ndari, 17,085. In second place, Joseph Gashoki Gitare, 46,678. And winning the race, or for the nomination as governor for the Jubilee Party, Anne Mumbi Waigoro, 100,632. So that's for the position of governor. For the position of senator in Kirinyaga, I'll just announce 2. We had Charles Rubenson Kibiru, 44,234. And winning the nomination for Kirinyaga senator was Daniel Karaba Dixon with 48,755 votes. Kirinyaga Women's Representative, the winner of this race garnered 124,763 votes, and that is Purity Wangoi Ngirishi. So she gets the nomination for Kirinyaga Women's Rep for the Jubilee Party. The second county is Bomet, and in Bomet, we had 3 contestants for the position of governor. Stephen Kipkoech Mutai garnered 8,895 votes. Kones Julius Kipyegon garnered 72,546 votes. And winning the nomination for Bomet governor, Joyce Cherono Laboso, who garnered 115,289 votes. For the position of Bomet senator, I'll just announce the top 2. Wilfred Rotich Lesan, who garnered 35,301 votes. And winning the nomination, Christopher Andrew Langat, with 81,047 votes. Similarly, for the Bomet Women's Representative for the county, we had Dr. Alice Chepkorir Milgo, who had 32,724 votes. And winning the nomination, Joyce Chepkoech Korir with 72,566 votes. The third county available is Elgeyo Marakwet County, where we had a total of 5 contestants. I'll just announce the top 2. Honorable Jackson K. Kiptanui garnered 34,666 votes, and the nominee, Alex Tanui Tolgos, garnered 63,645 votes to win the nomination for that county. The senator position in Elgeyo Marakwet, again a total of 5 contestants. The top 2 were John Kipkosgei Kangogo, who had 12,724 votes, and winning the nomination, Onesmus Kipchumba Murkomen, who garnered 85,905 votes to become the Jubilee Party nominee for Senator Elgeyo Marakwet. On the women's rep position in Elgeyo Marakwet, perhaps I'll announce just the top 2 for this. We had Christine Jemeli Kibet, who garnered 17,708 votes. And then we had, Florence Jepkogei Boynet, who garnered 20,601 votes. And the winner, Jane Kipkorir Sambirir, who garnered 22,906 votes to become the women's rep nominee for the Jubilee Party, Elgeyo Marakwet County. We shall continue to give you results intermittently as they flow in. This, as you realize, is a bit of a verifying process, and it will take a while, but we'll continue to announce them as they come in. I can take 1 or 2 questions if anybody has them. Yes, sir?
My name is Douglas from Biblia Usema. There are some aspirants who are saying they have interim certificates. Are the returning officers issuing the interim ones?
There is no aspirant who has a Jubilee Party interim certificate. And the reason I know that is because our constitution says they should be signed by the chairman of the National Elections Board. And I can guarantee you, I know the chairman very well, and he hasn't signed any interim certificates. As a matter of fact, let me emphasize that yesterday we said as a party and reached a decision that we shall not issue interim certificates. We shall instead just go straight to the final certificate upon verification, except where the National Appeals Tribunal are handling appeals, in which case we shall hold back because it's dependent on the outcome of what happens upstairs. So let us be very clear for the public. Do not be conned by anybody purporting to issue interim or any other kind of certificate. I hope that's clear. Yes, any other question? I'll take 1 more.
Thank you. My name is Agri Mutambo, Daily Nation. About the events in Nairobi County, one of the aspirants for the governorship, Peter Kenneth, is demanding that that nomination process should be repeated. Have you received this complaint, and will you repeat? Because he's citing several irregularities around the county.
Let me repeat this again for the benefit of anybody who shares that concern or any other.
Andrew Musangi there giving us the first update from the Jubilee headquarters, and 2 key things that came up. The certificates will only be issued at the headquarters, like he said, and all disgruntled candidates have 3 days maximum to lodge appeals. Anytime after that, like he says, is time barred. Our panelists are still with us. We're running out of time. We're making space for the Maamuzi 2017 team. That's a Swahili part of NTV Today. Keeps covering everything you need to know. But we were talking about one of these leaked documents, and Kwanja, I'm coming to you. It alleges that it should be a Mudavadi Kalonzo ticket, but backed by Raila.
That would make sense, because obviously if you look at it keenly, while Raila Odinga enjoys, is the most popular candidate and enjoys support cutting across the country, not just contained in his own ethnic community. I would also safely contend that he could perhaps be the only one with a proper stranglehold on his ethnic grouping, and perhaps can attempt to transfer that support, as it has been before, to someone else. The question is, can Kalonzo be able to replicate that with his stronghold when he's not on the ticket? If Musalia again is out of the ticket, can he be able to do that? The Raila candidature is interesting because without Mudavadi, he has had his own inroads in Luya, the Western nation. And without Wetangula again in 2007, with Mudavadi, he again made inroads. So while he can be able to transfer, he's still quite a very strong candidate. But just on my final words on the day, if you look at it, the party primaries, all political parties have struggled. Now, as the chair for Andrew Msangi says, for the National Elections Board of Jubilee says, the next phase is the appeals and the arbitrations. I think political parties like ODM have an opportunity to redeem themselves in that phase and give justice to the that is due to candidates that have won fairly, and redeem themselves with the voters, because it's going to, at the end of the day, affect the voter turnout if the voters don't get their fair share. Now, in terms of the coalition that is being mooted today, the challenges in this country, we have had coalitions of form as opposed to substance. As it still remains, for me, it's about ethnic groupings coming together, because juxtapose the candidates, whichever ones that are going to run, but even the 5 principles, juxtapose them to the 7-pillar reform, that 7-pillar policy platform that they're campaigning against, from national reconciliation to resolving historical injustices, issues of equality, devolution. You cannot be able to pinpoint something in their track record, or say they can live up to the expectations and deliver on these items. As much as they want us to believe that the coalition is around those issues, there is yet no substance to convince me as a Kenyan, as a voter, to be sure that these guys have the temerity, they have the character, and they have the track record of delivering on these issues, and still form as opposed to substance.
Professor Macharia, do you think the Musalia Kalonzo backed by Raila formula will be the winning one as you close?
No, but it will be a good attempt in the whole thing, because there is a lot of disgruntled elements, as it used to be said. There are a lot of disgruntled elements around. But first of all, let's give NASA credit for putting up a good show where you can see they are enjoying themselves, entertaining themselves, and diverting attention from the mess in which it is. That's a good show. But let me also say that whichever formula they come up with, they're going to have major problems. There's no doubt about that. And the fallout will be almost immediately, almost. Now, the shambolic nominations we have seen in all parties, I think have been very good for the country. Extremely good. Whether it's in Jubilee, whether it's in Wiper, whether it is in ODM, they have been good for the country as learning lessons. And I would hope that IEBC has been following this thing very carefully, learning how to avoid mistakes. Because come November, we do not want to hear that there is a shortage of ballot papers. We don't want to hear that names are missing, whether of candidates or voters. We don't want to hear that there were delays in opening stations, for whatever reason. We don't want to hear that. We don't want to hear people being told to write their names on exercise books.
Okay.
So this is a very good learning lesson for the IBC and the country. In 2011, it's a positive sign.
Simea, very briefly, we're running out of time here. 10 seconds max.
Thank you very much. I think regardless of whoever is on the ticket, the others must support him. I mean, I think they've kept saying this to the nation, that it doesn't matter who is on the ticket, the others must support him. On whether they will make something different or not, before Kibaki became president, before he quit to form DP, he had worked with Moi for a very, very long time. And then he made an attempt in 91, 97, and then finally they came together and he became president. And clearly the performance of that government was totally different on the positive side as compared to what Moi what Moi's performance was. Now, don't again put it beyond these people just because they have been part of past governments, especially if you peg your expectations on what we have seen from 2013 to the current, the kind of performance, lackluster performance, especially of the economy and the national unity that we've seen from this government.
Okay.
These people in NASA could just surprise you. And finally, in terms of fallout, I think they've really done a good job in terms of whipping their support bases and telling them, listen, you must support whomever we choose. I actually am optimistic for them in terms of fallout. I don't see, I see it as very minimal, and they'll be able to deal. They have time to deal with it.
All right, so let's leave it there for now. Special thanks to our guest, Professor Macharia Munene, analyst and expert in international relations affairs, Joseph Simeha, political analyst, and Franklin Mukwanja, political analyst and also communication specialist. My name is Trevor Mbija. We're making space from Muzi 2017. That's a Swahili team, and thank you for watching. Gladys.
My name is Gladys Gashanja. Thank you for your company. Remember, we continue to cover that NASA event expected, or going on as we speak actually, at the Uhuru Park, and that big announcement expected today. Stay with us.
Good.
Kenya Methodist University is a Christian institute